Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us. We'll wait just a couple of seconds till everyone's submitted. Okay, I think we're good. Awesome. So thanks for joining us today for the Studio Art Portfolio info session. We're going to hear from Advising, a presentation from Advising first, and then we will go into examples and more information about drawing, and then 2D and 3D. So we'll go ahead and get started. And Jessica Dorfman is one of our advisors, and she's going to start with Advising.
All right, well, hi everybody. Let me go ahead and get my screen share up here. Hopefully everyone can see this okay. My name is Jessica. I'm one of our advisors in SVAD. You guys might
Oh, wait, if I could interrupt.
Oh yeah, of course.
Second. If everyone could hold their questions until the very end, that's when we'll be answering questions. If you'd like to write your question in the chat, we'll answer it through the chat. And if you'd like to speak, we'll let you raise your hand, and we'll go in order of who raised their hand. So please hold questions until the end, and we'll get those answered then. Okay, thanks.
All right, cool. So let me go ahead and hop in here. So this is going to be super brief. Hopefully everyone has some familiarity with kind of the general requirements. So I'm just going to get into a couple of the logistics here that we want to present from the advising side. So when you go to the site, you're going to see a lot of this, but we just want to mention this to you here. It's going to be an online submission for your portfolio. You have a week to submit it. So it's going to open up on Friday, October 1st in the morning should be. And that submission will be open until Thursday, October 7th at 5:00 p.m. So you do not have the whole day. You don't have until 11:59 p.m. Please do not wait until the last minute to try to submit. Every time we end up having a couple of students who have some kind of technical issues. So it's really in your best interest to try to do it beforehand. A couple days prior, you can always reach out to us if you're having any issues with your submission. Your portfolio results are going to be sent out. We actually updated this to a little bit sooner than we initially projected. Results will come out Friday, October 22nd by 5 p.m. So that will hopefully give you guys enough time to make the necessary preparations for your enrollment for the spring, which should open up early November if you don't already have access. Your results are going to be emailed to the email address that you actually register with. I know this is going to sound like an obvious thing, but please check the spelling on your email address because if it's not spelled correctly, including the knights.ucf.edu, if you're registering with that one, then we won't be able to send you your results. So we're going to have some difficulties there. Again, this is going to be an online submission. So everything they're going to get into, as they're going through the presentation today, how they want your formatting to be. But everything has to be submitted all at once. So I'm going to actually just skip to the bottom here really quickly. We really recommend that you have everything ready to go before you open up the form to go ahead and include your submission. So you want to make sure all of your files are labeled appropriately. All of your photographs are in order, everything is organized before you initiate that submission. You will not be able to go back in and edit your submission. You won't be able to include a new submission. So it's really important that that first time you have everything ready to go. And so we have examples here of how you want to have your files labeled. This is mirroring what you can see on the website. So this shouldn't be new information. We're just wanting to really make sure we draw your attention to it. If your pieces are not labeled correctly, they may not be able to be reviewed. So this is extremely important. And so this is another helpful piece of information. Who should be submitting portfolio? So anyone who is enrolled in the Art BA Studio track needs to submit portfolio for their program, anyone pursuing the Art Studio minor, and anyone who is interested in pursuing the Studio Art BFA. All of these students are required to submit and pass the Studio Art portfolio for their program. Experimental animation students, some students who are intending to pursue experimental animation have the ability to submit the Studio Art portfolio. Now, I will mention here, if you're planning to pursue experimental animation, we had an information session about this pathway and its entrance requirements last week for the new portfolio that we're launching for this program. Anyone who is in the fall 2021 catalog or newer will be obligated to submit that portfolio and will not have the option of studio art. However, anyone in a catalog prior to the 2021-2022 will have the option of submitting this studio art portfolio. However, you would not have access to the newest curriculum updates in that program. So I'm not going to go further with that, but absolutely this is extremely important. If you have any questions as to your individual eligibility or the pros and cons of submitting one portfolio versus another, if you are pursuing experimental animation, please contact Advising directly, send us your UCF ID number, and we'll be able to clarify that for you. Okay, and then the requirements for submitting this studio art portfolio, we have 6 prerequisites here. So hopefully everyone is aware of this. These courses must be either previously completed or enrolled in as of this fall semester. So to be able to submit this fall, you would have to have all of these courses either previously completed in a prior term, or you can be enrolled in the remaining prerequisites in this semester. If you are enrolled in any of those prerequisites in this semester, then passing this portfolio is conditional upon receiving passing grades in those courses that you're currently enrolled in. So you won't be given access to register for future portfolio restricted courses until we can verify completion of these grades. So transcripts is another thing we want to highlight really quickly. If you are not a current UCF student, you must include an unofficial transcript in with your portfolio submission. We have to be able to verify that you've completed or that you're meeting this prerequisite requirement rather. So there will be an opportunity in that application to upload that transcript. Does not have to be official. Unofficial is accepted for purposes of our verification of your prerequisite completion. If you are a current UCF student, in most cases, you don't need to include a transcript because we have all of your records internally. You just have to make sure you're including that UCF ID number. But if you are currently enrolled transiently at another institution in any of these prerequisites, or if you think that your record might be incomplete, if you're still waiting on some previous credits to show up, you can include a transcript in that case. So it's really just we need to make sure that we're able to verify these courses. We will follow up with you if we have any issues with verifying your prerequisites. So please stay on top of your email for that information. And then the results, again, they are going to be sent October 22nd. The email will be sent to the email that you registered with. Sometimes those emails can get sent to your spam folder or something like that. So just make sure you're checking all of those folders. If you don't get the results by the 22nd at 5 p.m. that next day, you can absolutely reach out to us and we'll try to help you figure out where that email may have went. There's going to be a lot of detail in the email. Please make sure you read every single component of it. It's going to give you a breakdown of your portfolio results and give you an explanation of your options. But something new that we are launching this semester is we will also have links to register for a Zoom advising session in which we will break down in much more detail what your options are based on what results you received in the studio portfolio. So we strongly recommend that when you get that portfolio results email, go ahead and register for one of those advising sessions. You're also welcome to register for or to sign up for an individual academic advising appointment with us. That's always an option that you have. But because this is going to be general information, this is something that we can provide to you in a group setting. So any questions that you have, again, make sure that you are utilizing this website. So everything that is going to be covered today to some degree is going to be, be able to be found within the SVAD website. And any questions that you have, you can direct to the Studio Art Portfolio email. Okay, so that was my piece. I'll go ahead and turn it over. Thank you guys for your time.
Okay, I think it's my turn. Yes.
Yes.
All right, so I'm going to share my screen real quick. Let me know if you can see. Okay, everybody see? SVAD Studio Art Portfolio Review?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to be walking you through the requirements for the drawing portion. So I'm just going to go through this as you see it. So 5 drawings are going to be required, either from ART 2300C, Drawing Fundamentals 1, or from ART 2301C Drawing Fundamentals 2, or an equivalent course. So if you took an equivalent course at another university, that's fine. 2 to 3 of the works must be figurative. Okay, so dealing with the human figure. Students are asked to select drawing work that showcases their ability and use of formal elements and principles. We'll go over that in a little bit more detail later on when we look at examples. So measure, proportion, structure, line quality, contour and contrast, volume, 1 and 2 point perspective, value, and figure drawn from life. Okay, we're really going to stress life drawing. So for this review, drawing is defined as work done in a traditional physical medium, not digital. So do not apply with digital works. We need physical works on paper. All works must be created from observation, not photography. Okay, so drawing from life, you must have the object or the subject in the room with you, not from photography. Okay. And now I'm going to pass this on to Debbie Starr for
just to read this. Okay, I'm just going to read this section here. So for any of the design works, you're going to have 3 items from your 2D class, which is Art 2201C0C, Design Fundamentals for 2D or approved equivalent course. Students are asked to select 2D design work that showcases their abilities, use of formal elements and principles. So line, shape, value, visual texture, implied space, color theory, balance, contrast, dominance, harmony, proportion. Did I just go in the dark? Repetition, scale, unity, and variety. In the design categories, there must be one color and display of understanding of color theory. That means do not put in a picture that you just have that happens to be in color. It needs to be showing that you already understand about color theory. All right. Do we need to switch to the next one? Is there a next slide?
I've already switched to it.
Okay, okay. Sorry, I'm sorry, I'm in my office and I have one of those lights that's a timer, so it will just go out when nobody's moving. Okay, all right, that's it. Start the drawing.
There's the 3D section is up.
Okay, yeah, okay, so 3D, you're gonna have photographs. You know the 3D section, you wanna have 3 separate photographs for 3 separate projects. It's gonna ask you to load example 1, example 2, example 3. Don't take a picture of one item and show me 3 different views of that same item. They have to be 3 separate works, okay? So you're going to showcase your abilities, again, for the formal principles of line, shape, value, applied texture, space, balance, contrast, weight, harmony. You're gonna go through those items that you have already gone through in the classrooms, hopefully. 3D work should be photographed on a seamless colored neutral background and lighted in a way that most clearly represents the work. Do not use crumpled material or distracting backgrounds. The image must focus and represent the quality of the actual work, color, value. The image should represent the entire work. Do not crop edges. The print should be on an 8.5 by 11 inch page or slightly larger, and you may include additional detailed images, but it's still going to be 1 page. So if you decide you want to show me 3 views of that one item for the first project, it all still has to be in 1 photograph. You have to lay it out in 1 photograph. So you are encouraged to show multiple views of the same 3D sculpture into 1 image to showcase that work. But do not divide it into 3 pictures because you're only going to get 3 images to load. So you want to have your 3 separate images set up ahead of time, also labeled correctly that you load them in. I mean, I've seen, very odd things over the year, whether they photograph them on bed sheets or on parking lots and in the drawing studio on the floor, and I'm looking at tape and gray floor. You need to set this presentation up to look really good.
Okay, now I'm going to start going over some examples for the drawing section so you get a better idea of what we're physically looking for. So all of the drawings that I'm going to show you obviously show the formal elements and principles that we're looking for. So in this drawing in particular, this is like a typical drawing we would get out of the UCF drawing program. So it contains value, line, volume, proportion, perspective, and structure. All of these are going to be varied, right? It doesn't look like it's all done by the same person, but they're equally as successful. So this is a far more simple drawing, you would think, but it still is a strong drawing. The line quality is crisp. It shows volume and has mass. Even though this isn't an architectural drawing, it still has proportion because you can see that there are diagonal lines instead of horizontal lines. These are the things that we learn in drawing fundamentals 1 and 2. We're looking to see if you understand those elements. So it's in perspective. There's planal structure. It's not limited to just eyes, nose, mouth, all that kind of stuff. So moving forward, this would count as value. It doesn't have to be a more painterly application. Just that subtle value in the background through the process of drawing would count as a value example. Line quality is good. This is going to be really repetitious because they're all good examples. So you can see it has volume, atmospheric perspective, proportion. This would count as figurative work. Yet again, another good example, great line quality. The proportions are accurate to the human figure. The structure isn't just limited to nameable parts, but all of the visual information that you can see from drawing from life. Another example, value is in the atmospheric perspective. There's crisp line quality, proportion, figure, volume, mass, all the same things that we're looking for. Yet again, a more architectural drawing, very obvious perspective in the more traditional sense, structure, figuration, great line quality, a lot of process. Yet again, even though this is figurative work, it is also illustrating an understanding of perspective. There are no horizontal lines when you can see 2 sides of a box. These are the things that we're looking for. Self-portrait. We typically do these bag skull or bag self-portrait drawings in drawing 1 and 2. This is a good way of combining your figurative example with your perspective example. We use that bag to clearly show the difference between the front and the side of the head, showing the side of the head going back in space. This is an example of perspective as well. Another example, line quality, volume, proportion, perspective, structure, figurative work. It's okay to not have just one piece as the example. You kind of have this sketchbooking way of working the composition. You can fit more than one example on one page, kill 2 birds with 1 stone. So a little bit of figuration, strong line quality, and perspective all in one. A simple drawing of the skeleton, very typical of our program. Great line work. It's in proportion. The structure is there. This would also count as value or tone, a simple flat graphic shape, right? So it doesn't have to have all this mid-tone highlight, painterly kind of quality. You're also using value and tone in the composition here. We have some more painterly applications of tone. The proportion is there, the perspective is there, strong figurative work, maybe a gesture that you did in one of your classes, even just like a minute-long gesture, if it's successful, feel free to include it. Some more examples of value and structure and figuration. So a quicker drawing, this might have been like a 5-10 minute study in value, but I can see that you understand enough about structure and tone to give you the opportunity to take the upper division courses. Yet again, proportion is there, perspective is there, the eye level, you can tell that they were looking down into the pelvis and their eye level was about at the rib cage, right? So this would also count as perspective and perhaps figuration, structure, line quality, all the things I've been saying. Another example of our bag self-portraits that we do at UCF. Now I wanted to include a few drawings at the end that don't look like typical UCF drawings, drawings that may come from outside of the university if you're transferring. So even though this doesn't look like the drawings coming out of our program, it's obvious to me that this person still does understand value and structure and the relationship between planal structure and value. It's in proportion. This would also pass portfolio review. Yet again, here's an example of something that might come out of a different university. The line quality is not the same as what we expect from our UCF courses. Even that being said, it's obviously in perspective. There are no horizontal lines when I can see two sides of a box. I can trust that this person would do well going on to intermediate or advanced drawing. And finally, this example of a drawing that may come out of a separate program at another university, but very strong value work, structure. It's figurative, it shows volume, it has mass, even though it doesn't have all the process lines of a typical UCF drawing. So that is all for the drawing examples. So I'm gonna pass it back to Debbie. Debbie, do you want me to stop sharing so you can, or do you want me
Yes.
to? Okay.
Go ahead, stop and I'll put it on.
Okay. There we go.
Okay, I don't know what happened. So somebody has to turn hers off completely. All right, here we go. All right, can everybody see that?
Yes.
Okay. So now with this, with 2D, if we're going to go first 2D and then we're going to talk about 3D. We also look for those principles and elements of design, but the difference in working with, whoops, went back one. The difference between drawing and 2D is that in 2D, we expect to have a finished project, right? It's finished, it's completed. Most of them are mounted. They look like something that you're hanging already ready for the gallery. This is a line project, so it's talking about line, form, balance, proportion, repetition, scale, unity, and variety. It's strictly done in line work. There are a lot of different line work projects that are out there that students have been using for their work over the couple of years here at UCF. Even each class has a different kind of a setup for line. It's all good, but it does need to be a finished project. We're not looking for the formula or the show me the work here. I want to see a finished project, and that's what we're looking for. Same here. Here's another one that is also done in line. You can see that. Whoop. Oh, why is this doing this then to me? Sorry, I'm sharing screen and I'm doing it on a little computer. All right, also this works as well for 2D. We have a lot of pointillism or line work that's in there. If you look in the background of this, you can see that it's actually lines, it's not just colored in to create values and to create some depth in here. They've done it pen and ink, micron, that kind of, it's still mounted, it's still a finished work. Same here. They're applying things like the rule of thirds and laying it out. This was done in a 2D class that I had several years ago, and the student did all that little detail in there with all of her pen and ink work, but it's still a line and dots kind of dealing work, but it has all the value It is more finished than a drawing would be, but it's still a 2D project that could be turned in. Here's another one, also showing, this is pointillism. This is a pointillism project that someone brought in. It still works. It doesn't give you a lot of depth, but you can read that there's a piano there and the ballet slippers, and you're using your rule of thirds again. We also have things like collage work that people have done with textures. And so here we have shape, texture, value, balance, proportion, unity, and variety. It was a project that has been done for the last couple of years where people are doing their selfies this way. Because we are looking for 2 black and white kind of things happening when you're sending it in, and then 1 color theory project. It's another example. Also shape, texture, light, balance, proportion, value, unity, and variety. So they use a variety of different textures in there. Sometimes they are painted. Sometimes they are using acrylic paint in there to do this. Works as well. But it's something that is done in your foundation classes, not something done from a painting class. Same here, using 2 sheets to kind of work out value in acrylic. We have shape projects also that also take in consideration texture, unity, contrast, shape, doing objects, doing things with your shapes, overlapping, close-edge relationships, closure, movement, touching, convergent, approximate symmetry. They're also working off the rule of thirds to show that they've used this. So you are working totally off of your principles and elements of design, but you are also going to do a design as a whole, not where you're doing, you're not handing in a little piece of paper with some disembodied image hanging in the page, you have to make a complete composition. These are pretty much, you have contrast here too, as you did in the last one, but again, with working with shapes, working with those, how you're using shape. Another one, trying to balance between black and white, but still create a composition. When we get to color, we start to use other things with color. So with color, it can be this way, showing that you've learned something about color, using color schemes. I know that others have it like for this, where we actually do put a color wheel on there and step scales on there so that we can see that it's actually been done. Each one of these areas have a different color scheme in it based on what's here. And it's an actual color theory project. So we're understanding that it's not just, like I said, a picture that you have that's in color. Another example would be done this way, where they're breaking it down, the same photo or same image, but they're showing different color schemes to show how that would lay out. We've also done them where we've got it this way, where you're almost working in the close method, but here you're still working with color theory in here. Another good example here. You can see all the work that's been done there. So it's tighter. It is about design, how you're laying that out. But it needs to look like it's a finished project, a finished thing. Yeah. Now in 3D, it gets a little different because we are making items. So in 3D, we are looking for 3 separate works. For example, this would be a student's representational project. They're neat, they're orderly, the background is basic, it's not distracting. We're getting photographs of this. Like I said, I've seen people do it on sheets and things like that. You don't want anything crinkling behind it. You really want to take a good picture of your work. It's another example. Again, you can see the background. It's been cleaned up. Neat. We can look at it. We get that. Another one here. Also, like even when you're working with it, you can put things on there like light to kind of make it a little bit more dramatic so that it looks really great in your photograph. Again, this would have looked totally different if you stuck it outside on a parking lot ground. You know, it's not going to come out that way. And we are talking about things like balance, contrast, repetition, harmony, variety, even in the 3D work. Another example. Here they've added in like repetition, scale, unity, and variety to kind of bring those items into their work. Some people like them to be a little bit more dramatic. So we have lighting this way. Notice that they've used 4 different views of this. It's still on one page when they submit it. Okay. We've had this way too, because we talk about these would be 3 separate items. Each one of these would have been submitted as a separate picture. So we have representational, abstract, and non-representational work here. Each one of those we done. Now in the end of when you're loading, we sometimes I ask where you're going to submit a picture with all of your items together for each section so that we know that you still have them. You know, that it's not items that you don't have any longer. Here's another one here with 3D where it's a representational, abstract, and non-representational work. So the first one would be one picture, the middle would be another picture, and the other last one would be their non-representational image. But they're neat. The backgrounds are black or beige, and that's pretty much it. Stop sharing. And I know I can open up for my end if anybody's there now with questions, and Hannah can kind of start that part.
Yeah, so now we will open this up for questions. So if you'd like to ask your question in the chat, please do so, and we'll answer your question in the chat. And then if you would like to speak your answer, go ahead and raise your hand, and we'll call you to speak in the order that was raised.
So I was planning on applying for like the studio art minor with the portfolio review, and I was wondering, I heard you mention this briefly, but I want to verify. So if you're currently enrolled in one of the prerequisites, you can't like register for classes until you get the grade, even if you're accepted or pass the review.
So yeah, I can jump in on that one. So yeah, what would happen is, let's say you're still enrolled in drawing 2 and you pass both areas of this portfolio review. You would not, that is correct. You would not be eligible to enroll for any of the portfolio restricted courses for spring until the grades are posted. So, you know, normal registration is probably going to be about the first week of November. So this might be early December. So there's going to be, you know, another month or so. We have to verify that grade before we give you the permission. But anything that doesn't require portfolio will not be dependent on this timing or on whether or not you passed.
Okay, thank you so much.
Sure.
Okay, Dale, you're next.
Hi, so just on the SVAD portfolio website, it just has like the naming examples for everything. So I was just wondering for like after it has like how you name the drawings, it has the like here's a drawing all file. Like, so how would I photograph that? Would I like arrange all my drawings and take a photo of like all 5 of them at once and submit that? Or
yeah, you can just lay them out and just put them in a nice little, just lay them out real nice and clean and just take a shot of them all together, just so we can see them all in one shot. The other
Okay.
ones you take a nice clean shot of them individually, but the one of them just to show that they're all 5 drawings together is a good way to do those.
Okay, and then same thing for the 2D and 3D projects as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, Stephanie, you can go ahead.
Hi, so I'm currently in the 3D design class, and all of our project dates have been pushed back by like more than a week due to an issue with the 3D printer on campus and off campus. Like, for example, the same day that this portfolio is due is the same day my second project is due. So can we submit 3D projects from outside of class, or do you need to have the specific representational, abstract, and non-representational?
You can enter items from outside, but you really want to make sure you're photographing them well and that they are actually 3D projects that you've done in a foundations class, not something you did in a ceramics class or a sculpture class. You know, I mean, it should be your foundation work to show that you've the work about your principles and elements of design. You need to have some reference to those things. I understand the part about the cutter not being working and everything like that, but I think that really, if you're going to submit other works, they should represent that they are something that you did in the 3D foundation class, whether it was high school or AP or you did it in another school. But you can't just throw something in that you're working like from narrative sculpture and put that in. That would not really work. Okay.
Okay, next we have Constance.
Hi. So I took drawing too at a community college, but I did take intensive drawing here. I was wondering if I could use work from intensive drawing, as a lot of it does reflect the principles that you're looking for.
Yeah, you can absolutely submit something from intensive drawing. That would behoove you.
Yes, that'd be awesome. I have my stuff from there is way better anyway.
There you go.
Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, next we have Savannah.
Hi, so I took 2D design as an AP credit in high school. It was an AP credit, and I didn't really understand 2D design very much, so I really don't have anything for 2D design in terms of UCF classes. I was wondering for the 2D design pieces that we have to submit, do you recommend that they be like physical pieces that we take pictures of, or do we like submit a digitally made piece? Like, I'm not, because I know you said like mounted, and I was kind of confused by what you meant by that.
Mounted means it's on a black board, that it's not just pinned to your wall, you know?
They have to be 2D pieces.
Yeah, they need to be actual work, not digitally work that you're creating. And even I've seen some AP classes that have been wonderful. I've seen some that have not been so wonderful. So the thing is that if you have work that you can use to submit, I would put it in there. See how it goes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay, next we have Chelsea.
Hello. So I wanted to ask about, can we have finished drawings in the 5 life drawings category?
Absolutely. Are you talking about specifically the drawing section?
Yes, yeah, because you guys were saying about how the finished drawings should mostly be in the 2D design category, but I have some that I think would fit better into the
Okay.
category.
So that's a good question. The drawings that typically are from UCF show a lot of process, a lot of those measurement lines, but the last 3 examples that I showed in the slide lecture were kind of more finished looking drawings that might be typical outside of this university. You can submit those as well, as long as we see that you clearly understand the formal elements and principles. It could be in process or finished. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I am a transfer student, so yeah, they'll probably look a little different. Also, I wanted to ask, like, who can we talk? Is there anyone we can talk to and like bring our portfolio and like get an opinion on it?
Are you currently enrolled in any drawing classes?
I'm in 3D design. Yeah.
Okay. You wanna anytime I'm on campus, if you want to show me Well, you've got, I teach 4 classes. I'm there every day.
Okay, yeah.
So
I
if
would
you want to
appreciate
come
it.
by while I'm teaching, I don't mind.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, next we have Kelly.
Hi, I have a few questions. One, due to COVID, my drawing classes were not able to do any figure drawing. The school shut down and no one was allowed back. So I only have like one self-portrait. Am I allowed to do work outside of what the classes did? Because COVID happened and we shut down and we weren't allowed to do it.
Okay. Are you saying you're a transfer student?
Yeah, I'm a transfer student.
Okay. If you can supplement your figurative work that you didn't get to do in a class setting with more self-portraiture or drawings of the full skeleton, those would suffice for figurative work.
Okay.
Okay.
And another thing is for the group photo, again, because of COVID, some of my best pieces, they refused to let me back on campus and somebody else packed them and did a horrible job and ruined some of my things. So
Do you have any photographs that are good of the work?
I have photographs of
originally?
everything. I just don't have it together. But I didn't
Okay.
know because it's like from a class. So I have the transcript and proof that they're actually, some people told me they started doing that because people were submitting work that wasn't theirs. Like I have proof that I did them. They're not in good condition because
Okay.
people didn't do a good job packing.
Do you have photographs of them in good condition?
Yes.
You could print them out in a large scale and put them next to your drawings.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So that they're
Yeah.
the size of the physical drawings that you still have. Go to Kinko's, blow them up, go to FedEx, print them out the same size as your other tangible drawings that you have.
Okay.
Okay.
And for the 3D section, this is my last question, sorry. For the 3D section, we have to do what we did in 3D design and not sculpture because I had a very unique professor with very unique assignments and they are not the best portfolio pieces.
I think that if you had, I really don't tend to take things from sculpture. But I've had people come with 3D projects that were from other schools that were, maybe they made 2 things and they still needed a 3rd one, you know? I think that you need to just be showing that they're from foundations. With sculpture, what did you do in sculpture?
In sculpture, I have a gigantic like steampunk octopus that hangs on the wall. But like from my 3D design class, we did a Dada project and I made a pair of pants into a trash can that they look really, really bad.
Well, I think that whatever you have to pick out the 3 best things that you do have.
We only did 3 things.
For the whole class? Yeah.
Yeah, I had a weird professor and a lot of people complained that she does weird assignments that don't look good in portfolio, which made me really concerned.
Well, if you have other things that you think that will look better, I mean, that's totally up to you. I mean, you could submit them, but you know, I have no idea what they are, what they look like.
Yeah.
I can't just say, yeah, go for it. But I mean, you pick out what you have that's the best that you can put in there.
Okay, thank you.
Make sure they're 3 separate items, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, next we have Via.
Hi, my question was, I'm looking to get into BFA Studio Portfolio, and I was wondering, just in case that goes negatively, if I could submit the regular Studio Art Portfolio at the same time. Like, can we submit 2 portfolios? One for BFA Studio Art and one for regular Studio Art?
No, this one here would be your foundation. This is your foundational work. This is not work that you're going to go bring into a different portfolio. What do you mean by your BFA portfolio?
I saw at the very beginning of this at the very beginning of the PowerPoint, it said Studio Art Minor, Studio Art Portfolio, and Studio Art BFA Portfolio. unless I'm wrong. And my plan was, if I was able to submit the regular studio art portfolio, and then also as like a backup to also submitting my BFA studio art portfolio. And I didn't know if that was possible, so I was just wondering.
Well, this
This
portfolio is just
is-
for foundations, yeah.
This is for the BFA portfolio, or this is,
Yeah, there's only
Yeah.
one studio art.
There's only one
Yeah.
studio art.
I can add some clarity because I did that initial portion. I was mentioning the different majors that students could be pursuing with this portfolio. So this portfolio is for if you're doing the BA, this portfolio is if you're doing the BFA, it's for if you're doing the minor. So it's just that one portfolio. There are separate requirements. Yeah, if you're wanting to do BFA, there's some additional steps after portfolio, but that's something that we can talk to you about later on. It's not another portfolio review. In the same
Okay,
way.
that makes a lot more sense. I apologize for any confusion.
No
And then lastly, I'm in the same boat as someone else had mentioned with the 3D art, the laser cutter being in a bad place. And then also I would like to, I have stuff to use, but I would like to develop my figurative drawings a little bit more. Would it be better, honestly, especially when it comes to registration, because these classes fill up quickly, would it be better just to submit portfolio next spring, since I'm enrolled in 3D and 3D design and 2D art at the moment, or should I go with what I already have?
I personally think that you could wait. Just because you are in the classroom, it doesn't mean that all 3 projects that you want to have would be finished by the time the portfolio started anyway. And you cannot just put in 2 and say, well, I don't have the 3rd one. That's not the requirement of the class that you're in right now. So I would wait until you have all the work, everything's been photographed, you have all of your 2D work, and you're ready to go, you know? Okay.
Next, we have Aaliyah.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Awesome. Sorry, I always have mic issues with Zoom. I have a couple questions. I'm actually I'm not sure if I'm in the right place actually. I'm in the experimental animation track, but I see that the studio art track is similar to the to the experimental animation track. Would you guys know if they're having a separate like info session like this one for that specifically, or is this like just the end all be all of what you need covers?
We actually had an experimental animation track info session last Friday. It's currently it's on our SVAD YouTube channel. I'll post that link in the chat. Yeah.
Thank you so much. All right, I think maybe I'll just find all my answers there, honestly. I appreciate your time, y'all.
Sure. Okay, next we have Sood.
Hi, one of my questions was answered in the chat, but I had another question, and it was about like the 3D design, because for my first 3D design, I didn't like how it was because again, there were complications with the laser cutter and it was like really rushed. And I was wondering how I can counteract that with like my first initial design being not to its like perfection, I guess, because I know we're gonna do 2 other ones to submit to this portfolio, but I wouldn't want it to like lack and ruin the decisions of me getting into the graphic design track.
Are you currently in the class for this 3D class?
Yes, I am.
So the thing here is, like I said, the class progresses at its own rate. It doesn't mean that you're going to have all the projects you need if you wanted to go for portfolio this semester. You may have 1. That's not anything wrong within the classroom. You have to possibly make sure that either if you want to go in this semester, you're going to have to submit work that you have. If you don't have it all, then you're going to need to wait until next semester till you're completely finished with the class, and then you'll have all your work.
Okay, and if I wait till the next semester to submit my portfolio, will that deter me to having more years added to my studies? Like, will I have to take another year?
Why? No, it's next semester. You're going to be in the next semester. You would do it.
Okay. All right. Thank you, guys.
Okay, next we have Alexandra.
Right. Hi, can you hear me? Sorry, I'm just like, I'm doing this at work really quick. I do have a couple questions. I noticed that some of them might have been answered in the chat. So I was just making sure that the informational session for the experimental animation is like the updated new, what is it? Isn't there like a new version that is released for the catalog year?
Yes,
Yeah.
it goes over all of those details. I just posted the link in the chat.
Oh, I see it. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you. I do have a couple more questions. I think this one was also answered in the chat. I just wanted to make sure. Is there also portfolio submissions in the spring?
Yes.
Okay.
So this portfolio, yes, this is every semester we have this.
Okay, I was just checking. I was like, oh my gosh, I thought I was
Except
really
summer.
late.
The summer, but we do it in the fall and spring of every semester. Yeah.
Okay, great. All right, I think that's all. I had one more question, but I think with all this information, it's answered, so I think I'm good.
Okay, next we have Paula.
Hello, yes, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. So I
Yes.
have one question. It's regarding my 2D class. I'm currently taking it, and I think there is only one work that I will consider maybe acceptable for submitting to the portfolio. However, I do have two more works that might be acceptable for the portfolio as well. However, they're from like outside, like on my own work. But I just wonder if there is someone I can reach out back to before I actually submit this work to confirm that their work that actually I will be able to submit without a problem. That is not my 2D professor.
Well, the thing is that it doesn't, you're in 3D right now, right?
Yes.
Yes, bring it in. I'll look at it.
Oh, awesome. Thank you so much, Professor.
Okay, next we have Renee.
Hello. I just have a couple questions. The first one is in my drawing 2 class, we did a lot of glasswork, like charcoal glasswork. So I was wondering if that would also be accepted as part of the drawing images.
As long as the work shows that you understand the foundations of tone and perspective within those glass works, it doesn't really matter what the subject matter is, as long as it's drawn within the principles of the formal elements. So if everything's in perspective and the tone isn't, it's a quality issue, right?
Okay, and then my next question was, is there a place on campus that we could go to, or a place that you recommend that we could go to off campus to take photos? Because I know you talked about having that seamless background when we're taking our photos of our 3D work. So I was wondering if there's like a place that we could go for that.
We do have a little setup inside the VAB 114 classroom that I don't mind if people just come in and photograph in there while everyone's working. Do we just have to send an email and say, hey, I would like to come today, you know?
Okay. All right. Thank you. Oh, wait. And then I guess Miss Teresa, you
Yes.
said that we could come in and possibly show you work. Is there like, if we wanted like an opinion, or is there someone that we could bring our work to for, like you said, a second opinion?
So what we're gonna do in the upstairs in the VAB in the hallway, we are gonna show some additional examples of work that would pass portfolio review. So we're gonna hang some stuff up. So if you are not on campus while I'm there, you could look to those examples and make your own assessment, which I encourage. But if you happen to be on campus while I'm teaching, shoot me. You could email me, or you could come in physically into my classroom and ask real quick. I would prefer in person.
Okay, perfect. All right,
Okay.
thank you. That was it.
No problem.
Okay, next we have Emma.
Hi, yeah, I just had two quick questions about the 3D works. So I took 3D design a few semesters ago, and I have my 3D works and I have them all separately photographed, but
Okay.
one was damaged when I was moving, and it was damaged, like it was destroyed essentially, and I don't have one of them anymore, but I still have the other two. Um, so how would I go about taking pictures of all of them together?
You would probably do the same thing as Teresa even suggested with the drawing, is that you're going to take your two items and put them with that third one and put it on, lay it down and photograph those three together. So it's two physical and then one photograph item that you already have. We kind of can see that. I mean, we do understand that there was a lot of hassle with people moving in March when everybody closed down in schools and stuff. We get that. But if you didn't have that picture, to enter in the first place, then that would have been an issue. So it's really just to see that we can see that you did them, that you are the person that's sending this artwork in, not someone else separately
Okay.
outside on another campus.
hmm And then my other question was, if we're taking those photographs of all the works together, how do you want us to take that photograph? Because I know you said the other ones.
Yeah, the other ones really for your portfolio ones. You want those to look good because you're going to take that same photograph, maybe the first image of your first project, and that would go later on into like graphics or animation or something like that. The one that you're doing for the three together is just to show us that they are all together and it's yours. And that can be on a flat piece of paper or that can be on your floor. I'm not worried about those. That's just one, that's just a proof of, ownership kind of thing.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Okay, next we have Caitlin.
Hello, I just have a question about taking photographs of the 2D works. Do we need to have the black border background or do we crop that out?
Well, and some of the design work, I mean, you are looking to have that in there, like if you have a color project and it's got a wheel and I don't want all the pieces in separate pieces. You want to put that all on one black background. The same with your other work, you should have that border on there. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, next we have Micaiah.
Hey, yes, good afternoon. So about a year and a half ago, I had come from a different institution, Eastern Florida State College, back in Brevard County, and I took drawing 1 fundamentals and 2-dimensional design. So I'm looking through these presentations that you just given us, and it seems like your standards are quite different from the institution that I was from. So this is very concerning to me. Is there any way that things can be redone before this deadline of October?
I'll take this one. So I had a similar experience as a student, to be honest. I was a transfer student before I went to UCF, and I went from a program that didn't even have a figurative element. There was no models or anything.
Me too.
And then when I came to UCF, it was like, what is going on?
Yes.
And instead of panicking and seeing like what I could come up with the next few weeks, I took drawing 1 and 2 over again.
Okay.
And I do not regret it because now my portfolio passed easily, right? So if that is in your wheelhouse, if it's not going to postpone graduation and be like a doomsday situation, I would take drawing 1 and 2 over again. You will not have to do with it. And if not, if you feel like you can do something from home to supplement like self-portraiture for the figurative elements and stuff like that, then you can apply now. But it's just, if you think that the work that you can make in the next few weeks is going to help you pass, sure. But if not, take the fundamentals here.
Okay. Thank you very much. I was just really concerned with what was given to me, but thank you. Appreciate it.
No problem.
Okay, next we have Chelsea.
Hi, I have another quick question. Okay, so you said about how I'm not sure what the situation is with being in the a prereq class right now. Is that going to hold me back from being able to take intermediate classes or like portfolio classes in the spring?
What portfolio classes are you trying to do in the spring?
Well, I have all my prereq classes out of the way after this semester. So I'm currently in one. And I just wanted to get going with taking like intermediate classes after the portfolio review. But is it going to hold me back, the fact that I'm in a prereq class right now, like with the grade situation?
Well, it depends on what you're trying to do. If you're only if you're going for your portfolio on October the 1st, you're going to do it that first week, and you don't have all the work, then you're not ready, you know? And so then next semester you would have to do that.
I can get ready.
Excuse me?
I can be ready.
Okay.
I have most of it done, except that I'm experiencing the same problem as some other people where I'm in the 3D design class and the printer is not working.
Any class that you're enrolled in now, it is not their job to hurry up and get work for you ready so that you can do the portfolio this semester.
I know making those works is definitely my problem.
But if you wait till next semester, then it means that next semester, once you're going to do the portfolio, then you would be able to get into the upper division classes. But until then, no, you still are, so it would hold you maybe one semester.
That's not my question. So if I were to have all the works done for this portfolio review,
right,
and it got accepted, it wouldn't matter that I was still in a prereq class this semester for me to be able to do next semester portfolio classes, as long as I pass the portfolio review.
That's from advising, but I believe so that you would have to wait till the grades are posted, but they can answer that question better.
Okay.
Somebody there still?
Yeah. So I can reinforce that, that anyone who is enrolled in any prerequisites in that semester that you're submitting portfolio, if you pass that portfolio review, that is conditional upon earning successful grades in those courses. So we do have to verify that you've earned minimum C or better in each of those prerequisites before we give you permission to enroll in any courses that require portfolio for future semesters.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah, you can definitely follow up with us. This goes to anybody. If you have questions about any of the advising components, we're trying to give really quick answers here, but we can talk to you in a lot more detail. We have very few appointments being scheduled right now, so this is a great time to reach out.
Okay, next we have Rachel.
Hi, yes. I had a few questions about the 3D submission material. I am a transfer student and I took all of my fundamental studio art classes outside in my community college. And all of my 3D work, I have 2 physical pieces. Both of them are kind of destroyed at this point. They weren't very well kept up. And the last one that I had potential of submitting is only a digital file because COVID, they didn't allow us to print them through the 3D printer. So I don't really have that. I only have a digital file of that. Would I be able to submit the digital file of the
Are you talking about 3D printing?
I had I created a sculpture through a 3D software. So it is a 3D sculpture through software.
Okay.
It's not a physical thing that was printed though, because of COVID.
So you only have a file? Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, I only have a digital file of it.
Digital files, they're not going to accept that. You have to have physical work photographed.
Okay. Would you recommend me create something new?
I mean, right now you have, today is already the 24th, and you have from now to the first to that first week, the first to get that portfolio together. So I mean, that's something that you would have. I'm not sure you're going to get something digitally printed for you here that quickly, but you may have to come up with something else there.
Okay, because I'm also in the graphic design track, and I was recommended to like go to this information session just to like as a backup for my graphic design portfolio.
Okay.
For the submissions, are you guys allowed to tell me if like how different they are in terms of the graphic design portfolio versus the studio art?
They are very different. This is all of the foundation work: drawing 1, drawing 2, 2D design, 3D design. Graphic work is going to ask you for a list of other items. They might ask you for physical, drawings of the models. They might ask you for something from 3D and something from 2D. But most of that, there's another whole list of images that they're going to ask you for that you need. Sometimes it's a little bit of photography, so it's showing that you already know graphics already. But so it's very different than this portfolio.
Okay, so in terms of the 3D objects, should I be concerned about making new stuff for that portfolio as well, or should I just
I don't
that
think you
for
need
this
a lot of
portfolio?
things for that portfolio, but you do need them for this one.
Okay.
I was just jumping and say that all of the portfolio requirements are listed on our website. If you go to graphic design portfolio review, you'll see exactly what you'll be required to have.
Got you. And for last thing is all of my or most of my work that I have to consider for portfolio submission, some of them are in like full color. Would those be acceptable to be submitted, or should I try and stick to mainly like black and white imagery or drawings?
If you only have color images, you can submit them. We're looking, but it needs to be color because like I'm going to say, okay, which one is your color theory project? You need to kind of look at what you're giving there. If you're talking about something's in CMYK and then something else is in a color scheme, you do that. But it still needs to show other principles and elements. You still need value and line and shape. You need to have those kind of things in there too.
Are you submitting any color work for the drawing portion?
I do have like a few things I'm considering for the drawing portion that were in color, but
so color isn't typically a part of the foundations at UCF for drawing, but if you submit a colored in drawing that shows that you're ready for intermediate drawing, meaning the figure is right and the perspective is right, value is right, all that, then it would be okay. So just because all the images that I showed from drawing 1, drawing 2 were mostly black and white and kind of tertiary, doesn't mean you can't submit something in color. It just means typically we don't do that at our university.
okay, I gotcha. Thank you so much.
Okay, next we have Danielle.
Can you hear me well?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. I had 2 questions. The first one is for 2D design. Debbie asked about 2 black and whites and 1 color. And from my college that I went to, I only have like some really basic pieces in black and white, and I have much stronger pieces in color. So is it more important to meet the black and white requirement for the 2 pieces, or to choose the pieces that I feel like represent me more as an artist and represent more of the formal elements?
Well, if it shows the formal elements, then I'm all for looking at that. But if you're black and whites, when you say they're just, are they exercises? Because if they're exercises, you don't want to be submitting an exercise from a class.
One was a logo design in gouache, and the other one is in Sharpie, and it's of an item. So like a spatula that was done in 3 ways on 1 sheet. So it's very limited.
That would probably be considered more an exercise. What describes something that's already done in color?
Like a gouache painting, portrait with color. And then I have another one that's layered with like 5 different layers of color pencil, gouache, watercolor, and color. That's also a portrait.
Yeah, I mean, I would submit them if that's what you have. I mean, I don't want to see exercises. I don't want to see, like the 9 blocks that tell me, oh, you got happy lines and sad lines. I don't want to see those kind of things. Those are exercises. They need to be finished projects.
Okay, and even with her, she didn't do specific color theory, but we have pictures like they all have color and they use color theory, but they're not like, they don't have a color wheel or they're not all monochromatic.
No, they don't have to be monochromatic, but are they using other color schemes? That's what I want to see.
Yes.
Are you using analogous? Are you using complementary? Are you using triads or tetrads? Are you doing stuff like that there?
Yes. All right. So that would suffice if they're doing that. Okay. And then my last question was with the 3D, it's been like 9 years. So I have none of my foundation work. So I recreated 3 pieces based on your non-representational, representational, and abstract. And they're not like super strong. Like I wouldn't say they're like strong pieces, but they cover, again, like the foundational elements of what you're looking for with unity, texture, value, all that stuff, dimension. So even though they're not like, I wouldn't say the strongest pieces, like the abstract in itself, by itself as an individual piece, I don't feel like it's very strong. But since it's meeting that kind of project with the 3 of them together, do you feel like that would suffice?
I think as long as you have that in there. And the reason we picked those 3 items is we are trying to show the difference of classification along with your principles and elements of design. So there's a rep, a non-rep, and an abstract, rather than have somewhat where you have like a hand and then you're just showing me it in 3 different, it's closed, it's open. That's not really giving you the 3 classifications. But we do have transfer students that don't have that at all. If this is something you created for this, as long as the background looks good and I mean, you photograph it well, just put it in, let's see what you got there.
Okay, cool, thanks.
Okay, next we have Alexandra. Alexandra?
Is there an Alexandra?
Did you still have a question, Alexandra?
I will mention there's been some questions in the chat that are, specific to the content. So I don't know if anyone's trying to draw attention to those chat questions because we can't answer from advising.
Is Larry working?
So I see Alexandra posted in the chat, would a monochromatic piece be acceptable as a color theory submission, or are you looking more for color relationships?
Color relationships more, but if it's monochromatic and you used a color in there and you're not giving me some grayscale image, I mean, that would be grayscale would be considered more in the black and white, and the color would have to actually have some kind of color relationship going on.
Okay. And then I don't see any other, if anyone has a question they'd like to speak, please raise your hand. If not, we don't have any other questions. Let's see. We have 15 more minutes, so if you don't have any more questions, we'll end it here, but give just a couple minutes just in case.
So Morgan.
Okay. Vanessa?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, so I asked this in the chat, but it's definitely targeted that is away from advising. So I was in my 3D class at the height of COVID, and of course the college closed, so I'm missing one project for the 3D submission. I currently have a wire sculpture and a wood sculpture that I'm planning to submit. And I was just wondering, what kind of project would you recommend that I make? And then I'm not submitting this semester, I'm submitting next semester. So I have time.
All right, so when you say a wire sculpture of what?
It's of a hand.
And the other one, the wooden one?
The wooden one is kind of abstract. It was a project on like juxtaposition. So I have a natural piece of wood joined with a more like man-made piece of wood, and like I've combined the two. It's kind of hard to describe.
So right now, I mean, your first one with the wire it's obviously an abstract itself, right? So maybe you need something representational, really representational. You're using the wire hand. I mean, it's not done as a representational hand, right?
I don't know how to describe it. It's definitely slightly abstract, but I mean, you can tell what it is. Like I have it like
abstract, you can still tell what it is too. Yeah.
Okay. So I need something more representational.
Well, if you have something already, was it that you didn't get to finish the other project, or?
It was the last project that we got to do was a giant cardboard like head, and that did not survive my move to Orlando. So I don't have that piece anymore. And then that was the last thing we could do physically. Like we took that home when they shut down the college and then finished it at home. So we just, the rest of the class, we did like an orthographic chair, but that was digitally. Like there's no other physical pieces that I have.
Right, so that means you need to build something.
Yeah, so I'm definitely going to build something between this semester and then the next semester portfolio. I'm just not sure what you guys are looking for because I don't want to create something that's like redundant. And then I've never used a 3D printer, which I guess is very popular in you guys' 3D class.
No, we don't really use a 3D printer. We do use laser cutters, but we
laser cutter. Okay.
But you could, it doesn't necessarily have to be that. I mean, you could build something. I mean, there are other class, not all classes are using laser cutters. So you could remember that it has to be about design. It's not about sculpture so much. There are sculpture classes. Design is design. You could be designing headboards. You could be doing, design is totally different. So you need to think about, if you have that head or you could finish it or work on another copy of that, yeah, you could do that too.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, next we have Megan.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Because I already know that if we do not get into the portfolio day, or if portfolio day is not accepted, we are offered like intensive drawing. Is it possible we could just do intensive drawing to supplement portfolio day in general?
We have had people take intensive drawing or intensive design as well to get portfolio pieces. They have done that. Like,
you still have to submit portfolio.
Still have to submit.
Oh, okay. All right then. All right, that's it then.
You would have the work to do it.
Yeah. I have some of the works, but my teacher was very much orthodox and didn't really tell us exactly what we needed for specifically UCF's portfolio day. So a lot of my works aren't really, a lot of the things I did for drawing class were mostly paintings or experimental art rather than formal drawing practices.
And you're transferring, yes?
Yes, I'm transferring.
Similar thing to what I've said before, either retake drawing 1 and drawing 2 with us and submit again at that time, or if you think you can dig up anything to submit now, sure, but you're going to have a better chance of passing if you've taken our fundamental drawing 1 and drawing 2 course.
Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. All right, thank you.
Okay, next we have Joan.
Hi, good afternoon. My questions are for the drawing. I have drawings that are made, all are made from life, but they are mostly either still lifes or self-portraits that I have to do for my classes, because during the COVID, we were all taking the classes online, and I'm a transfer from Valencia College. And I believe that all of them cover the concept either, but they are very different to the ones that you show up as an example.
Okay.
So is there a problem with that?
How are they different?
Like, well, the figurative, I just have like self-portraits.
You can have self-portraits as your figurative element.
And the other ones I have, yes, I have like a perspective that we done like from life, still life that I did the setups, and then I submit the drawings, and they all show the shading and the concepts of value and line and all that. So.
Okay. So,
actually, I'm sorry. Actually, I'm taking the live drawing class right now, and am I able to submit any drawings from that class, or they have just to be from drawing 1 and drawing 2?
I mean, if you're submitting them from an equivalent course, sure.
It's a live figure drawing class that I'm taking now.
Okay, yeah, if it's an equivalent course, yeah. So if you have to weigh what you have the works, what's going for them versus what you might not share in common with the work coming out of our program. So if they're in perspective, even though they do have a lot of value, as long as they show perspective accurately and the value isn't sloppy and getting in the way of the structure and all that kind of stuff, then you have a chance of passing, because we can read into it and be like, okay, this looks like a transfer student, but they still understand perspective, it's accurate. So I think that they would do well in intermediate. Same for the self-portrait. If your self-portraits look different from the ones coming out of our program because they're more tonal with a lot of shading, as long as they still have proportion and everything accurately to the human form and structure, then it's fine. But if it's wishy-washy kind of sort of messy tone, and the proportions of the human figure aren't there, and that's why it looks different, then that's probably not going to pass our portfolio review.
Okay, there's not a problem with that. And then for the design classes, I only have 3 works from 2D. Though 2 of them are in black and white. The other one is color schemes like analog, complementary. Another one. That's the only 3 that I have. But my 3D works, they were very like conceptual, because my professor used to assign us a subject, and we have to develop an idea based on that subject or a specific style that she requires. Like we did a project that is like in the style of the data movement. So we have to represent something about the environment. And then I create a piece and I took pictures of that. Is that okay for the 3D design?
And so, okay, I see that one. What were the other 2?
The other 2 is she assigned us a subject, and we have to create the environment in which that happened. And one of them is like I recreate a studio. The other one is like she assigned a crime scene. We have to do research and then recreate the crime scene in a nutshell.
Actually, in a nutshell, or in a or you're doing little dioramas? What were you doing? Is that what you're doing?
No, we were doing like it was like I did a replication of the room, the scene of where the crime happens.
Okay.
And I have to use different materials to represent like the whole scene and the body and everything.
All right. I would still submit them and see how that works. I mean, otherwise, I mean, each one of them is different, right?
Yes, all are different. Other one is like a disaster that was assigned. I select the 9/11 and I did a representation of what happened there based on research that I did.
Okay. I mean, I do like the part that there was research involved, because I really push that a lot. But yeah, I would submit them and see how that goes,
Okay. Yeah. So those are my questions. Thank you.
Okay, next we have Casey.
Hello, my question is related to 3D design. I have a non-representational piece that also serves as a performance piece. and so you're capable of wearing it. My professor at the time mentioned that it might be good for like to show it as I'm wearing it as an angle, but I didn't know if that was okay because I can wear neutral colors and have a neutral background, but wear it, or just take a photo of it and kind of stray away from wearing it all in general.
I'm not quite sure like how large this is or what the actual piece is, so I can't say that.
It's more
But
of a
basically, if you would, if you had it on a dress form or something like that, it would be the same thing. But I think that seeing it more static would be better than to see you moving it around. So if you just want to try the picture, you can. When you do your group shot of all of your items, how will you do that? Will it be a copy of, again, with you in the costume?
No, I mean, like, I'm capable of taking it like by itself, like
Okay.
with a background. It's just my professor at the time mentioned that it might be beneficial. It's a mask, so I can just hold a stick and wear it. But I didn't know if it would be beneficial for me to put it as an angle.
Yeah, I think that if it's only the mask, I think I would just set that up as a display photograph.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we have time for just another question, so we're going to take Jennifer's.
Hi. So some of my assignments that I'm thinking of uploading were the kind of assignments where you do 4 parts. And on one of them, one of my most successful pieces ended up being the last one, but I made some pretty basic mistakes while I was getting to where I wanted that last one. Should I just crop out all of my, like the other 4 to show this is what I've learned, this is the good thing, not showing the mistakes behind it? Or is it better to show that I learned throughout the piece and I made all those mistakes, but I got to a much better piece in the end?
So
is
this
your assignment? Yeah. Is it in drawing or is it 2D? What is it?
Drawing 2. It was the drawing 2 assignment.
Okay.
One of the facial things.
Okay, so you're talking about like sectioning off the paper and you have one successful element on the page, but there's some less
Yeah, all the other ones I'm not proud of.
As long as there is that one successful one, and we're not going to count it against you. Sometimes it's a strong thing to see your brain working and kind of fixing something as you go along. We'll just read the successful one for its own merit.
Okay. I didn't want the other ones to take back from the success.
As long as it's obvious to us which one is the successful one, you'll be okay.
Okay, it's pretty obvious. And could you just real briefly, like, what is like the very specific like skills that you are trying to check off to make sure that we've learned? So I can pick in drawing specifically. I've already submitted and it says you're good for everything, but you need to submit again for drawing. So
we're looking for your line quality not being distracting from the illusion of making that actual object. So we're not looking for a lot of sketchy, like hairy lines, anything like that. We're looking for more kind of continuous looking, structural, crisp line work. We're also looking for perspective being accurate to Western perspective, 1-point and 2-point perspective, which is mathematical hard line. There's no subjectivity there. It's either it's in perspective or it's not. So we're looking, if you understand those principles, if you're using tone, we're looking to see that you're not using it decoratively. We're using it structurally. So the light is being informed by the planal structure. We're also looking to see that you're not only drawing elements that are nameable, like eyes, nose, mouth, when you're drawing a self-portrait, or even the cow skulls or something like that. If you only have like eye sockets and teeth and there's nothing in all of the blank areas, you're not yet drawing from life in a way that's believable or plausible. We're looking to see if you know how to see well. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah. So the main thing that I'm hearing is that you want to see that we not only know how to draw attention to what is important without going all haywire, but also actually drawing everything else, even if there is an attention drawn to it.
We're looking to see that you're drawing as an act of trying to better understand and question and see the object that you're looking at. That you're not illustrating a simplified version of it, like an emoji or a cartoon that only shows us the verbal information, eyes, nose, mouth, or anything with a easily grabbable word to describe it. We're looking that it becomes more visual than verbal.
Okay.
It's more about what you saw in its entirety than any kind of simplified illustrative version of it. We're not looking for illustrations. We're looking for life.
Yeah. That's been the hardest thing because I'm trying to get into the illustration program.
So you're playing both fields in your brain.
Yeah. So I think I understand. I'm just going to repeat it. You tell me if I'm wrong. You're looking for the object as the artist has perceived it, and that the artist is perceiving it correctly and actually studying the work. And it's basically taking visual notes on whatever we're drawing.
Yeah. We're not looking for like an interpretation through an illustrative lens. We're looking for the object in life as you see it, as closely as you can get as humanly possible.
And if I were, let's say, on the one where I segmented into 4 parts, and I thought the last one was really successful, if I just redid the assignment exactly like the teacher told us to do it, even though I've already passed that course, would I be able to upload that assignment, even though I didn't do it under supervision?
You wouldn't be able to tell the difference if you do it well, right?
Okay.
There you go.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Okay.
All right, that brings us to the end of our info session for today. We're going to be respectful of everyone's time and go ahead and end it here. If you have any further questions for either the portfolio or advising, please go ahead and email that Studio Art Portfolio email address. Thank you so much and have a great weekend.